Hi, everybody. This is Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons, and here with us is Courtney Miller. Another night of late night geo. By the way, if you're interested in coming on the show, welcome to PM us at Twitter, or on Twitter at Project Geo Media, and we'll have you on as additional guests either tonight or at another other night. So let us know. So we're just gonna hop right into it. Courtney, how's it going tonight? What's going on? You've been exploring geo a little bit.
Yeah. I found some pretty cool stuff this week that I thought would be fun to bring up and kind of bring forward. Like as usual, a lot of my geospatial interests tend to be like applications based. So found lots of cool and interesting stuff to talk about today.
Sweet. We're gonna hop right into it. Let's see here. First off, before we get started with some of the stuff that you brought to the table, let's see. Let me do a quick screen share there. Hold on. Change some of my settings around. There we go. There we go. I want to talk about the Geoconvergence Workshop. That's May 18th through 20th, 2021. So that's next month. I say 2021. So it's this year, next month. So we have a number of plenary speakers. This is a joint effort between the American Geographical Society and National Science Foundation. So we got some interesting speakers, some from Maxar, Tony Frazier, Dr. Michael Crow from Arizona State University, Dr. Nadine Elame from Open Geospatial Consortium, and several other people. And I can't wait to get to know them a little bit more. So Project Geospatial in the background is helping American Geographical Society do some of the editing and recording behind these scenes, or at least supporting them for this endeavor. So check it out. Register at geoconvergence.org. And you can also look for that as it's pinned to our Twitter account. So check out that event. You got 1 month to register and check it out. So, and actually there's the website right there. So the next thing we have on the list, I'm just going to dive right down your list. You have more stuff than I do this week.
All right.
Oh, no, this is one of mine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like,
for Earth Day, I always like looking at the Earth Day stuff. I was not on it this year. However, I'll say Chris Tucker did tweet out one of the sessions he did with us about his book, A Planet of 3 Billion, that he did with Daryl Murdoch and I last year. So that's actually always worth it. I would say that's one of those, not say timeless, but very relevant for years to come sessions. And you should check that out. We retweeted that out as well. So it's a really good session. Actually, I've done 2 sessions with, so we talked about that. Adam and Daryl, myself and Daryl interviewed Chris, but also I did well individually with Chris as well, diving into some of the more data behind the scenes. And I think that one's just as interesting. Another thing that how this applies here is on Earth Day yesterday, John Nelson also posted this awesome 5 minutes of seasonal ice animation. So people say, if I play the music along the side of it, I'm not sure it plays in the background, but see if might. But it's kind of, kind of mesmerizing. You can just watch it for 5 minutes, just up. And it's like basically it's like a heartbeat of the Earth. It's pretty intense.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, you just let it play and let it go.
From the background.
Breathing Earth animation.
Do some yoga.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, he also tells how he made it here on the website too. So as with all of his stuff, he helps people understand how he did it, how he made it, and you can go from there. So it's always love his tutorials. Always worth watching Don Nelson in some of his posts. But this is one of the things he did for yesterday. Really cool.
That is cool. That's very cool.
I'm tempted just to leave that up for a few minutes. see where it goes.
Let everybody just get like all relaxed, ease into the weekend.
I know, right?
That is really nice.
So we'll
5 minutes of chill.
No, we're gonna do 5 minutes. We're gonna do 5 minutes. We'll move on to the next one. So what do we have here? Nope, that's just another Twitter account. Oh, the Wildfire. This is Wildfire season 1.
Yeah. So this one I thought was really interesting. This is more of an aesthetic choice pickup here that I saw on Twitter. This is posted by, I'm trying to remember what it's Evelyn, something, you might be able to read it. There we go.
Wildfires in Estonia from 2014.
Nuema. Yeah, so it is a map of wildfires, but what I love about it is that she uses colors and to make it look like actual wildfire. So it's the dark background with the beautiful kind of like fiery bursts wherever there's concentrations of wildfires. And she talks about how that it's maps onto areas where you see where kind of the convergence of, more natural land and transportation routes and development. So it certainly has an area, like there's some real, like, there's some, interesting points and educational points to the map, but it's just beautiful. I just think that the way that she laid it out and used her choice of like color palettes and schemes makes it really interesting. And I wish more maps took that into account when they're making it, that when you add that kind of emotional element or aesthetic element to it, it just tells a story so much better. So I just give big props to her for this really beautiful map that shows.
Oh, it looks like she's got an animated GIF here too, the same thing.
Yeah.
So I would say, going back to the first image here, this is a vector layer. It looks like the administrative files for Estonia. So basically all the admin layers, the specific provinces in the entire country, and there's no actual additional data other than the wildfire data overlaid on top and then manipulated. This could actually very well have been done in QGIS or there's a number of things they could have done this in, but it's a very simple visualization, but very, very powerful at the same time. So yeah, that's amazing.
That's beautiful.
Perfect for Earth Day once again.
All the sad stories on Earth Day.
Well, actually, it's 2020. This one happened 2 days ago, so
yeah,
not quite Earth Day, but close enough.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got here? You so you're throwing me a NASA Harvest. What did you find interesting about NASA Harvest?
So this one was actually just kind of another link that I found. It was a link from Twitter, but I had not heard of NASA Harvest previously. So to me, this was really interesting. The whole website, once I got into it, I was really excited. One of the things that St. Louis is kind of known for is ag tech because of our, historically, we're the headquarters for Monsanto. Now it's Bayer. And so Bayer's North American headquarters is here in St. Louis. So there's a lot of like background in ag tech. And so to me, this was really interesting. And they keep it very well updated. There's new stories coming in, new data and new ways of showing it coming in constantly. But it's basically like it's an intersection of national security and food security and agriculture, using a lot of geospatial technology, using a lot of research partners all across the country. And the idea is that it's just keeping an eye on trends and on food security and ways in which we can kind of, become better at feeding the world, I think is a good way to think about it. Not just here in the US, but since, it's a global community and everybody imports and exports, there's a lot of back and forth. But the layers of maps and information and data that was on the website, I was like, yes, this is very interesting. So apparently though, that someone from NASA Harvest has been on Geospatial, Project Geospatial, which I did not realize. So
yes, that would be Catherine Nakarumba. And I'm not really great with names, so I really apologize, even though we've had her on the show before. And now actually here, this is the actual episode right here. So now we interviewed her. I want to say it was, let's see, I have that up. I just had it. Where'd it go? It was, how do I not have the date anywhere on here? Oh, man. Okay, this is going to bother me. When was it? I know it was last year sometime. How do I not have the recording date? Okay. It is in the, I'd have to go
put up in the show. You could probably, next time I talk, you can go look it up.
Yeah, I'll do that. It's now bothers me. It's not even that's bad, Adam. I didn't edit it right. I put in the metadata very well. Apparently I messed it up. Either way, you can watch it on our page. You can go just search for Catherine on our website and on our podcasting website. And so if you just go to podcast, type in Catherine. And yeah, I need to change the text so people can see the search because it's all black for some reason. But you can see it pops up. I'm going to read what I'm writing. Come on, get it right. There you go. So there it is. Pops up right there. So you can just go straight there. But it's a really, really useful episode. She talks about a lot of the projects she does in Africa, and I'd love to have her back on. This was actually an amazing episode. This is really cool. So she's really, really awesome, the work she's doing over there. And I don't want to give anything away. Go watch this. This is a really cool episode.
Yeah, I had no real idea that NASA was into that had that kind of like research arms into different industries and cross disciplines, but I just found it really interesting. And living in the Midwest, there was a bunch of data just on, carbon dioxide emissions based on crop rotations and crop densities and yields based on other layers of information. So just lots of stuff. And that's just in the Midwest, but it's all over the world that they're looking at different data sets. So I think it's if you're into geospatial and precision agriculture or anything like that, or you just like cool maps of crops, I would highly recommend checking out the NASA Harvest page.
Awesome. No, that's a good suggestion. I do as well. And we will. It's been over a year. Actually, it was right before the pandemic when I was really looking at NASA Harvest and trying to bring in more guests, just such as Catherine here. I should say doctor. She's got to be a doctor by now if she hasn't already. I think she was assistant research professor. So I want to get that right. But I want to bring on more guests from NASA Harvest. They seem to be really excited about highlight more of their projects and get more of their folks tell their stories. So that would be really interesting. So with that said, moving on to the next one. So it looks like we have a seed round that will fuel the launch of thermal imaging satellites. This is really exciting for me. I love the aspect of more infrared focused satellites commercially, especially since so we have on the government side, public government side, we have there's the VIIRS and MODIS that kind of shoot in the infrared range. And we're talking like non-weather related activity that you can see things with. A lot of the meteorological stuff can shoot in infrared, no problem. But looking at just general Earth observation in infrared, using that spectrum is amazing. And so using the MODIS and VIIRS sensors, typically folks used for looking for wildfires and a bunch of other things. But the VIIRS and MODIS sensors are such low resolution. And this one, does this say what resolution it is? Can't recall.
I'm not sure.
It's not bad, but here's a good idea, right? I'm glad actually they're showing a power plant because you can actually see a lot in a power plant. You can actually see how active it is. What generators are active here, and those are these two things on the left. These are some type of looks like fuel storage tanks. You can see. But you can see which these things are constantly active right here. Sorry, I have to look at it a little bit closer to look what I'm looking at.
It looks like one of them is not turned on too. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah, this one here on the far left. So it could be one of the yeah, you're right. That's actually a really good observation. We can turn you into an imagery analyst after all. Yeah, one of them's not turned on. Anyway, stuff like that. So it reveals a lot, what's active and what's not. And just by looking at it from the EO image here on the left, you can't tell. You can tell that this is a power plant, but you can't tell how active it is, what the current status is. And so I'm glad they brought this example to the forefront because you can do a lot of monitoring. So if you can do this with a power plant, imagine you can do with other types of facilities, energy output, production output of certain types of facilities, like just factories or various other production facilities like refineries, etc., all kinds of things. And yeah, I can go on and on about use cases. So let's see. Okay, so the investment here is from Seraphim Capital, and they also invested into ISI. So this isn't the first imagery related company that they've invested in. ISI is one of the bigger SAR companies that's making headway in the last year, so they got a lot of investment too. But this is a UK company.
There's been some interesting. I feel like there's been some interesting, kind of like, mid-stage companies coming out of the UK. But TechCrunch does a really good job of covering a lot of the the kind of seed level. That's a really beautiful image too.
This is a really, really good example. Really good example.
Some really good keeping track of some of the latest trends in geospatial and use cases and what we're seeing. And it's a fast growing industry. There's a lot going on, and the entrepreneurship in it is really explosive. So it's cool to see. What was the purple image? What was going on there?
Purple image? Oh, yeah. This is a refinery.
Oh, nice.
I can tell that right off the bat. This is a massive refinery. Now, however, with that said, this is an example of simulated satellite image. So here's what they did. They took a Google image on the left and they actually simulated an infrared image on the right. So that's interesting. I don't know how they simulated an imagery, but they basically just mocked one up.
Yeah, they might not want to actually give away the details.
Oh, well, what could have actually happened too is they're testing the camera out. So when they simulated is a really broad term. Maybe they didn't just mash up the image. What could have actually happened is they used the same camera on an aircraft and shot with that same sensor, and they simulated and reduced the resolution to simulate what it would look like from space.
Oh, okay.
That could be what actually happened. So I want to say they just made up the image for marketing purposes, but that's a lot of what they do. They'll test out the cameras as well. A lot of folks do that. A lot of the SAR. I've seen a lot of aerial SAR. The SAR companies that have passed me SAR imagery before, based off of aerial testing that they've done before they launched their satellites. Those are really fascinating. So, all right, let's see. What do we got next? What's over here? Oh, we have a link for, I'm just going down the list here. This is something related to St. Louis. Yeah, this is actually, it's from the STL.com, and which is kind of like a website that uses, it's basically like a St. Louis type of, regional marketing type of site, but it tells a lot of stories about what's going on, tells a lot of interesting, here's the FYI of living in St. Louis, but they have now a little kind of like a slideshow that's about what is geospatial, and it's very based on if you know nothing about these words, that you don't understand it, but you're starting to hear it maybe pop up, then this is the level of understanding. So I just thought it was neat. It's it's kind of just gives a real basic idea of very baseline idea of what geospatial is. But, for a lot of, obviously anybody probably watching this takes for granted, how most people don't understand exactly what geospatial means. And I think they're getting more into it, especially as things like SpaceX and some different things. We're all familiar with the imagery because we see it all the time, but not necessarily how it's created or what it's applied for. So, in a place like St. Louis, or, honestly, even DC or Colorado, places like that also have big geospatial hubs. It's, there's some education that goes into it. If you want people to get into the local workforce pipeline, you kind of have to do some education, some baseline education. So, I'm just running through this slideshow right now. Sorry, what? No, that was it. No. I mean, I just thought it was I think that it's good for, like I said, for any of these areas that have big geospatial growth, that want to, as the slideshow points out, it's a big growing industry. You got to get kids and people interested in it. I'm hoping that, we continue to see more of this kind of baseline, what is geospatial kind of stuff. And I know you're working on some stuff around that. And, it's just it's a good way to remind people that, to get people excited about it. Nice. Is that the last one? It's future geospatial. I think that is, yes. I think that's the last one. Yeah. It's definitely a marketing piece as well as educational, but
yeah, I think they did a really nice job with that.
Definitely basic. I can see. I mean, every one of these slides can be heavily just branched out to even more.
Yeah. But
honestly,
that's where it starts.
I've made some basic things for basic education, but honestly, I don't think I've ever gone that basic. So,
well, that's like for the average person,
there's probably
like
two more layers, a couple more layers up from basic I've even done. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy. I was like, I'd want to make this list like super long or something like that. There, like,
well,
really?
that's why there's marketing people that do.
What about like fitness or fitness tracking?
Well, you only have so much space on your slideshow, so gotta pick.
Well, that font's really, really big.
Very big, yeah.
It's massive in your face.
It's very in your face, yeah. But I think they did a beautiful job. I assume that was Cannonball's work, so it's an agency here in St. Louis.
Definitely a good job. Need to talk about how NGA keeps you safe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Next one. We have another TechCrunch here. Another startup. Albedo closes $10 million seed round.
Yeah, Albedo is actually from a Canadian company. And its founder, Topher Haddad, is the co-founder of the satellite imagery Clubhouse group. So for anyone who's in Clubhouse, which is available on iPhones, will be coming to Android shortly, but it's basically an app that allows you to create these sort of rooms where you have essentially like, they're almost like pop-up interactive podcasts. It's like, it's audio only. You kind of like, it's interactive, but then you schedule it. But it's pretty active. There's a GeoInt one. There's satellite imagery. There's space one that's really active. And
I am so sorry, folks. I do not have an iPhone or any Apple product. So Geospatial is not on Clubhouse yet. However, with that said, just a little interjection there. We have a Discord channel. As much as we need to invest time in making that a proper community, we do have drop-in voice channels as well. And I know Discord's making their own kind of Clubhouse clone at some point too, so for features. So I would love to get a community going in there, but when Clubhouse comes to Android, I would love to, or even the web, we'll put some stuff in there and integrate it, hopefully maybe even integrate within the website directly. So
I know they're working on the Android version, so I know that's coming.
So but it's back on this company here.
Yes. Albedo it's a low Earth orbit satellite imagery company that is 10 centimeters imagery. So you're gonna have to explain more about what that is. But as far as I can tell, that's
15 centimeter imagery. So that would be like on the higher level of resolution edge of satellite imagery. If it is so low Earth orbit, yeah. So a higher level. So a lot the best satellite imagery that we see is typically 15 centimeter right now from Maxar. So if they're going to 12 to 15 centimeter range, that's up there. So it'll be interesting to see their business plan for it, though. The problem with that high of resolution is it's very target based. Means you shoot a small amount of area because you're close to the Earth to shoot that level of resolution. It looks like though with 8 satellites, the company can provide daily image revisits with 24. It can do that 3 times a day. Through the 8 satellite fleet it will be early milestone for the startup, according to see. Okay, so they plan to launch in 2024. So a little bit ways out there, but they want to bring the full constellation of 24 by 2027. So got about 6 years to go. But yeah, it'll be fascinating. But that'll be the game changer. If you do 15 centimeters or 12 to 15 centimeters at high resolution of a inter-day revisit rate of several times a day, that'll be massive. A lot of the even Planet is with some of their satellites under 1 meter, but most of them are closer to 1 meter. They have inter-day revisit rates and the resolution. I mean, you can do a lot with Planet imagery, no doubt. You can do quite a bit, but it's not that high of resolution, and so it does limit you significantly. On the other hand, Maxar's has really high resolution. You can do a lot with it on the individual images, but they actually have a huge archive too. And their resolution for the bulk of their imagery is anywhere between 0.3 and 0.5 meter imagery. So, but that's a pretty good sweet spot, especially since their archive goes back decades now with a bunch of satellite acquisitions over the years. So, but yeah, this will be interesting. I think we need to EO's not oversaturated at all. You just you evolve to the even more higher resolution and wrap around the business model. That it'll be interesting to see what Maxar does with their upcoming constellation. If they plan on just I have to double check. I keep on forgetting what their aimed resolution is for I can't Legion satellites. There are a bunch of small sats they're planning on launching. If it is a 15 centimeter range, or they're going to opt for a lower resolution and just get a higher cadence. But they're trying to phase out their big boys down the road because they're over expensive. They're more, I think I have to look at the price, but there was close to $1 billion for launching some of the original bigger satellites, the Worldview satellites, the GeoEye satellites, etc. Those are lots of money in it. And so the small satellites have just massively been a game changer. But you have to rely on some massive camera innovations to be able to shoot the same resolution as you would a bigger satellite with significantly off tangent there.
Well, I know the NGA Accelerator that was announced it's in St. Louis. It's through NGA. It's like sort of their startup cohort. 2 of them were imagery startups. So one was like low Earth orbit balloons, and one was a traditional low Earth orbit satellites. And so 2 out of the 8 were, imagery. So to me, that definitely says there's still a lot of innovation and imagery and what's going on, and expecting the demand to continue to grow. So I think it's exciting when some of these startups really help push the button a little bit and push what people think is possible. And hopefully that means more and more data and more ways to apply it.
And we're going to try and get Topher on?
Yes. I have the LinkedIn message sending out.
LinkedIn message, or you're on Clubhouse on the side.
Yes.
Oh, we got trouble in the house over there. Oh,
yeah, that is GeoKid getting tired.
So next one we have on the list is speaking of Maxar, Maxar satellite imagery of Crew Dragon 2 in Falcon 9 at Cape Canaveral. So Maxar is flying their Worldview 3 satellite over the Atlantic Ocean, and from a certain vantage point, they were able to capture 960 miles to the east of Cape Canaveral, where they collected morning's imagery of the Florida Space Coast. So let's look at what is this? I don't want that. Okay. Ooh. So this is at a massive high angle here. This is kind of crazy. That's Cape Canaveral. So this is shot from a satellite, folks. They just turned that thing on edge and shot at a very, very extreme angle. You can see there's a lot of distortion in this image.
Yeah, a little warped. Yeah.
Let's look at some of the others.
Yeah, this is like. Is this like the space version of paparazzi photos? like all hidden back,
Most people think satellites are always shooting. What actually impresses me is I wonder if someone requested this, one of the robot, because I don't know what the speculative collection request looks like when you're actually gonna turn your satellite at an extreme angle just to shoot a shot like this commercially. Because most of the shots are, have a collection plan of looking, closer to nadir, and being consistent about it. So I wonder what the story is from a collection standpoint of wanting to do something like this. So let's see. So you can see, okay, here actually there's some of the science behind it. So this is position 960 miles, line of sight. Actually, you got 60 degrees, high off-nadir collection. However, it's a great PR stunt, just to shoot that far off, just to show what you can do with it. I mean, that's an incredible shot going back to that first one.
Well, and it's like a double PR because it promotes the fact the SpaceX launches tomorrow, and then also promotes like Maxar imagery. So
yeah,
it's like a double hit. I didn't realize that SpaceX had another launch tomorrow, so that was interesting to hear.
It's a highly detailed image, so it's really cool. really, really cool shot. I give him props. You don't see too many of that, but they are capable of doing it. So, and 960 miles away, imagine this in other parts of the world and what you want to grab on an opportunity shot. Unfortunately, this has to be planned, so you have to know what you want to shoot like this ahead of time. Awesome find, Courtney.
Yeah.
All
Thanks,
right,
Twitter.
so we get the last.
Yeah, so this one is just I've become a big fan of. This is GovTech, right? I've become a big fan of GovTech because there's always interesting articles about ways in which that different or government organizations or quasi-governmental organizations are applying geospatial or data or machine learning, different type of applications to civic and governmental applications. And this one in particular is how in Northern California they're now starting to apply. They got a big grant to essentially do some AI and machine learning to integrate that into their existing camera system in order to start really tracking wildfires, which of course last year was huge in terms of the destruction and problems it was causing up in Northern California, air quality, massive costs, massive destruction. And this essentially using it so that rather than they can do a 24-hour constant monitoring of where wildfires are popping up, how they're moving, how they're tracking, different trends over years. So I think this is one of those examples of a really good application of machine learning, and so that it when times like this, when in serious crisis where you're very resource poor because everybody is burnt out, they're doing what they can. This is where like machine learning and just having a constant stream of data coming in I feel like is so important and very useful, and excited to see this being applied to crisis management type of, public safety type things. So, and if I'm not mistaken, that was something that you did in the Air Force as well. So
yeah, very briefly, it was 2007 and 8 when I was working out of Beale Air Force Base. We actually worked with the state to with the Global Hawk, and sent the Global Hawk over wildfires to help the state out and tried to rapidly send imagery to the wildfighters, to the firefighters on the ground, to provide them quick access to know what's going on. Actually, it was a very manual production workflow, but it was quick because we were tactical imagery analysts and we knew how to do the job overseas. Now we're applying it at home, and that was a really awesome project to work on. That's almost 14 years ago. Nuts. But that was a really awesome mission, just to take stuff you learn about doing things from a defense standpoint and just apply that knowledge. And it wasn't even necessarily about the technology. It was about how rapid that we can create products from imagery that we collected and send them out the door very, very, very quickly. Within minutes of collecting those images and putting them in the hands of the firefighters to say, here's the fire lines, here's what properties were in danger. Now, satellite, by the way, back then you didn't, you may have had GOI and Digital Globe in their earlier days that had satellites up, but doing on the fly imagery of such events was a lot less feasible. They didn't do it as often. And they even had to plan for it. And plus things like the smoke were always an issue as well. So having aerial support would have been more ideal, but even then it's really tough with all the smoke going up. So shooting something from a higher altitude platform really provided a unique advantage, especially as we were able to use the different sensor capabilities that platform had, and put those, once again, show the firefighters, hey, this is where the fire lines were, here's where properties are in danger, here's where you are, you might be in danger as well. And I would say, I guess the question comes, would such a mission workflow still be viable? I'm not entirely sure if it is, considering the resources that we have available through the commercial technologies nowadays. However, once again, it's some of those other unique sensors like the IR would really, I would say, drive that nail into the coffin of outdating those types of things, especially if they can work out the rapid delivery towards the folks on the ground. However, that's, how in tune are the firefighters with reading those types of reports or acting on geospatial technology? I'm actually kind of curious about that, because it's one thing to make it and deliver the data. It's another to say, okay, for your client to understand what they're actually getting and interpret it and use it. And that's always a kind of a question I have at the end of the day. Is like, okay, cool, we did all this cool some work, but how actionable was it on the other side? That's feedback sometimes you never really get. So
yeah, and I think that's where this is one of those things where you should be able to see the feedback and get it pretty quickly, because it's so real time and it's so urgent. So I think it's cool. I hope that things like this continue on. I saw some other articles that are talking about, Vermont and other places that are starting to use a lot more data into decision making, and especially for like resource management and crisis management when there's floods or, COVID's one, but there's a bunch of natural disasters here in St. Louis. We have flooding issues. We have tornadoes. We have possible earthquakes. So it's things like that where you start realizing that being able to access and use data to make these decisions would be so helpful and important in mobilizing resources. So limited resources. So exciting to see, and hope that this continues. And I will continue to watch GovTech and see what other kind of cool stuff that people are doing around the country.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for all those. Man, we'll be a little bit more prepared next time, at least from my side. But you came to the table bringing all kinds of news and trends this round. So for those wondering what I've been up to, I got a lot of things working on the side. So we got a lot of things cooking for American Geographical Society coming up. Stay tuned for that. And I got a lot of videos and work I'm editing right now for release over the next week. And I know we were late on Courtney's St. Louis Geo Spotlight. Don't worry, that's still coming out. It might just come out a little later than expected. So, okay. And then, our archive channel is hopefully still running, but I think I worked out the kinks. As much as I wanted to do it for Earth Week, it's not going to happen, obviously, as it's the end of Earth Week. But next week, I'm going to work on, we're going to replay the Geography 2050 playlist all next week. So all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, each one of those days, you get to see a repeat of Geography 2050 from last November. So look out for that that's going to be at twitch.tv/PROJGEO. But that's one of my projects I have over the weekend. I have to set up the archive channel embed on our website as well, so it's easier to find. So you don't have to worry about, hey, how many Twitch channels does Project Geospatial have? No, don't worry about it. We're going to put it on the website, and you don't have to worry about it. We're going to make it streamlined so people can make it, discover it easy. So with that said, if you want to come on the show sometime, you can always send us a PM on Twitter or send us an email at info@projectgeospatial.com, and we're happy to interview your company, product or service, or just dive into whatever geospatial topics you want to talk about. So I'm Adam Simmons here with Project Geospatial, here with Courtney Miller for Late Night Geo. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.